Hi everyone, it's Sid here from Fundamental Research, and our guest today is Sean Zaboroski, CEO and founder of the Diabetes app, also known as TDA. We initiated coverage on the company last month. TDA is a privately held software company formed last year with a unique app that combines social media and e-commerce for the diabetic community. We're not aware of any other app with such an offering for the diabetic community. A beta version was launched last year, and a full version 2.0, is expected to be launched next month. So the agenda for today is I will kick off the call with our thoughts on opportunities in the online pharma market, and Sean will take over from there and introduce us to his company and how he's attracting users for the app. Sean is also planning to take the company public this year. So if you are interested in participating in a pre-public financing, please reach out to us at info@researchfrc.com, and we'll send you details of TDA's current financing. For listeners, you can either wait till the end to ask questions, or if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to type them in and we'll try to respond to them. We encourage questions to be directed to TDA since we have Sean on the call today. Here are some key disclaimers. Please take a moment. Okay, so let's get started. The global online pharmacy market is expected to grow at 17% per year from $68 billion US in 2020 to $178 billion by 2026. Some of the factors driving the sector include increasing smartphone ownership, the ease of ordering medications online, and of course, growing health consciousness among consumers. Since TDA is focused on diabetes, let's look at some of the market stats. In 2019, about 460 million people in the world had diabetes. This figure is expected to hit 700 million by 2045. Now, diabetes treatment is the second largest treatment market across all conditions. Treatment for diabetes alone is projected to reach $120 billion US by 2023. This is almost double the size 5 years ago. Now, in the US, healthcare spending per person with diabetes is about $800 a month. And we estimate that the average monthly out-of-pocket spending is about $200 per month. So you can see the potential for e-commerce businesses in this sector. The global diabetes drugs market is expected to reach $78 billion by 2026, up from $49 billion in 2018. Now, since TDA is combining e-commerce with social media, the exponential growth in social media usage is another key part of TDA's prospects. As you can see here, 45% of global population are using social media apps. And 4 of the top 5 downloaded apps in 2020 were social media apps. Now, most of the apps we see in the market today are either focused on e-commerce or just on social media. So we feel an app that combines both e-commerce and social media, and that too for a targeted niche market, have potential to do well. But we got to mention that as with all apps, a sound marketing strategy, my marketing budget will be key for TDA's success. With that, I would like to welcome Sean, the founder and CEO of TDA. Sean, you'll be able to share your screen. Please go ahead when you're ready.
All right, thanks, Sid, and thank you everybody for joining us on what's here in Toronto, a nice sunny, I guess, early summer day, and we're already plowing through June, but thanks for your time. So yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of the Diabetes app. Our tagline is "Together We're Stronger." And the problem we're trying to attack, or the problem that we can address from a business perspective, is that for those familiar with diabetes, either directly or indirectly, they understand that it's a 24/7 challenge. Diabetes does not take a holiday. And the North American healthcare system is not designed to appropriately support diabetics on that 24/7 challenge that they're faced with. So our mission is to present a digital hub of all things diabetes. So we want to provide services, products, and the support necessary to engage all of the North American diabetic market, and therefore disrupt the massive business opportunity that lies before us. So as Sid pointed out, the market is huge. In North America, there are 36 million diabetics. 237 billion is spent annually on diabetic supplies. And there's a huge market of pre-diabetics, over 75 million of them. So here's our solution. We're preparing and we're launching on July 5th a state-of-the-art web and smartphone application that will provide support and access to the services and supplies required for the North American diabetic. We're able to fulfill supplies and services. We will be able to fulfill supplies and services across all 50 states, as well as across Canada. So just getting more to what having diabetes is like. As I mentioned, it's a 24/7 challenge, and it's broken down into two different sub-markets. The first is the type 1, which be a younger demographic, which comes along with its struggles of not only growing as a young person, as a teenager and puberty and all that sort of thing. Layer on that, the effects of diabetes and the responsibilities to yourself for diabetic management. And on the other side, you have a type 2 diabetes. And this is where, you know, for the most part, generally speaking, it's older people, older demographic, and things come in there like foot care and burnout anxiety from having to deal with it later on in life and all the other stresses of life at that point. And again, there's nothing out there that provides peer support that really is the key to diabetic management. So four key drivers that we've identified that we're trying to position our platform around. Number one, as I mentioned, diabetes is a huge market and it's ever increasing. Number two, products and services are trending to digital delivery. Number three, the North American healthcare system is not effective in managing the challenges of diabetes. And number four, competition to what we have is essentially non-existent or weak. And I'll get to that in a minute. So our rollout strategy is as follows. We started in July of 20 with a really simple beta platform. To date, we have 11,000 users. And as I mentioned, on July 5th, we're poised to launch our state-of-the-art platform. And then in following months, we're going to have a cross North America e-pharmacy that will provide for prescription, OTC, and specialty products. We have a telehealth system coming in place. We also have, quote unquote, the gamification of diabetes management, which is not really a game. It's more of a way to engage the diabetic markets to track themselves in ways that other devices are not tracking. Most of the competitors are out there are as per the 5th level, which be monitoring blood sugar levels, nutrition, and activity. We're coming at it as more of a gamification situation where people will get rewarded for doing proper lifestyle management, more so than your typical Dexcom would just do blood sugar management. So right now we have a community and peer support section where you can share your story. You have resources available to you. You have forums, type 1 and type 2 broken down. We have interactive live streams where you can speak to professionals, or you can just come on for maybe not so heavy topics such as cooking nights and things like that. We probably have 2 live streams a week. And you can also find professionals. So how we're building our user base: type 1, we're just a lot of social media, advertising, and things like that. Type 2, we're going more traditional marketing, radio, or traditional radio, talk show, morning talk show, that kind of thing. And then there's also the challenge to convert our users into e-pharmacy customers and telehealth customers. And we're using different push notification strategies and loss leader promotions, public relations campaigns, things like that. So monetizing the user base, once we have a threshold of user base, as I mentioned, we're going to have a cross United States and cross North America e-pharmacy fulfillment for everything diabetes. So this is a very important slide. This shows our cost to acquire customers and our cost and the benefit we get from our customers. So in this slide, it's a few weeks old, but at this time we conservatively put down that we can acquire a user for $7 Canadian, and we're converting 1 in 10 users to become e-pharmacy customers, giving us a cost per acquisition for an e-pharmacy customer at $70. That's probably down to $50 because we can acquire our users at probably closer to $5 Canadian. But as Sid said in the introduction, that the annual gross margin, that's our margin, would be $300 US annually. So if you think about it, the metrics are very much in our favor. You have a one-time cost of e-pharmacy customer at $70 Canadian to give us in perpetuity a $300 annual or $25 a month annual gross profit that is, from each customer. And these metrics take into effect attrition and drop-off rates and things like that. So it's a very quality metric, financial metric, and this does not take into effect telehealth. This is only for e-pharmacy. We're also monetizing our user base through advertising revenue. Obviously, big pharma and big diabetes companies spend a lot of money and a big budget. You probably all have heard Dexcom's commercials. They're doing a heavy marketing campaign. We have a hyper-targeted platform that will be 100% diabetes focused. And we are already starting to get advertisers in place, and they're paying a premium to position themselves on our app or on our platform, web and smartphone, that is 100% diabetic populated. Coming, we have telehealth, as I mentioned, we have the gamification and the condition and lifestyle coming down the pipe. The competitors are very weak. You can see on the social side, just to identify that, you have things like Facebook groups, which are disorganized and are caught in social media noise. There's nothing that's laser focused on diabetes. And if you look at on the other side, if you look at the competitors to our e-pharmacy platform, bear in mind that we're coming out with a state-of-the-art algorithmic artificial intelligence e-pharmacy system. And if you look at other platforms that are e-pharmacy, our competitors on that side, they're old and antiquated websites. So we think we can defeat our competitors quite easily there, just by the user experience being much better. I would say our customer experience would be very similar to Amazon with, a couple of clicks, you get what you want. And you also have automated repurchases and that sort of thing. Competitors in our other spaces, telehealth, there's nothing like it in North America that's focused specifically on diabetes. Gamification, same thing, there's nothing specific to diabetes. But there are a lot of competitors, and it seems everybody wants to compete on the condition, on the monitoring, the blood sugar monitoring, things like that. And as I mentioned, we're going to be focused on more of lifestyle management training and that sort of behavior modification to battle the challenges of diabetes. So obviously we want to build this up. We think we can scale it quickly, make a threshold of users, and then we would look for an exit, either being larger online pharmacies that would want to acquire our niche. We have digital medical companies like T2D Health. There are huge companies in the diabetes space that help manage the disease. They are not competitors of ours. We come at it at a different angle. But Livongo, for example, has a 15 billion, that's with a B, market cap. So we think we would be a really juicy acquisition target for them. And we can also do a direct IPO on a public exchange, which, by the way, we're set to list on the Canadian Securities Exchange in late October, early November. So that's me. I'm a lawyer and MBA. I'm very much a serial entrepreneur. Most recently, my last entrepreneurial pursuit, I started as an idea with one other founder, a cannabis company that at its peak approached $2 billion back in 2019. So I've done it before, and I've now assembled a really great team. We're operating digitally, mostly around the GTA, but we do have people outside the GTA. It's a very strong team, and we obviously know what we're doing. We scaled up to 11,000 users on a small budget and not a great platform to date. So we're really excited to see what we can do with our version 2 platform, as I mentioned, launching July 5th. So just going back to our history, we launched our beta test in July of 20, and we're version 2 is launching. It says launched in June 21. It's actually launching, as I said, July 5th. So you don't have to go far to see what diabetics are saying about our platform. There's lots in the press, lots of good quotes about how we're changing their lives. And I didn't mention, but we have 15,000 Instagram followers, and all of our, and we're active in posting. And you can see even posting one of, or even looking at one of our posts, lots of love shown by the diabetic community. These types of comments are very common as we're really growing our user base. So what we're looking for now is we're looking for somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million for a pre-public financing. That is really just to scale what we've had to date. And then in 2022, we'll be looking for a larger financing to really fuel growth and really provide the disruption in this diabetic space. Here's our current little shot of our growth metrics to date. You can see it's a nice trajectory of users. The cost to acquiring user is constantly declining. And here is our user and financial projections. Our registered users are going from 100 to 500,000 to $1.5 million over the next 1.5 million registered users over the next 2.5 years or so. And you can see the impressive EBITDA in the bottom line while we keep expenses under control. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening. I can open up for any questions.
Thank you so much, Sean. Yes, we can open the call to a Q&A. Listeners, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in, or you can click on the raise hand option and I'll unmute you. But Sean, while you were talking, we did get a bunch of questions. So why don't I just read them out and we can go one by one. Walgreens, CVS, and Amazon have strong presence in e-commerce. How will you compete with these large players? Sean, I think you already talked about competition, but do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I would say like they're very general in scope, and they don't have the community informational side with us. They won't have the retention that a user would have with us, the convenient access to telehealth, the gamification, just the omnibus hub that we present. We believe we can compete because of our scale. We can compete if we need to on price, but we will be very like niche focused, and we think that we enjoy the fact that they're into online pharmacy. It kind of shows that the marketplace is going there, and they would also we'd also take their call if they wanted to buy us.
Okay, I think the point I mentioned at the beginning of this call is the fact that social media or social interaction is being combined with e-commerce. None of the other larger players do that. They have purely e-commerce only. How many subscribers are you adding a month?
Yeah, so we kind of held back on our budget because we're waiting for our version 2 to launch on July 5th, which would be a significant upgrade to what we have now. What we have now is available on both app stores as well as on the web. It's free to download. I didn't mention that. So I think we're adding about 1,500 users a month. About half of that would be monthly active users. And again, we're not spending a lot of budget on that, because what we really wanted to do with our beta platform that we've put in place from July of 20 until date was just to validate the opportunity. So once we validated the opportunity, we kind of are coasting in terms of user acquisition, waiting for July 5th when we'll be more aggressive in our marketing to build up our user base.
Okay. How do you plan to convert users to paying e-commerce customers?
Right. So what we intend to do is, as I said, it's going to be a very state-of-the-art platform providing push notifications. There'll be loss leader strategies. There'll be the gamification where you gamify things and get discounts on different prices. So I think we can just present that community aspect and the hub that will, at the convenience of a press of a couple of buttons, you can shift over from the community site over to the pharmacy site, over to the telehealth site, and there would all be a captured user, would be a captured customer. So I think that will be very effective on that. And as I mentioned in my sizzle slide, we're really even forecasting 10% of users to become e-pharmacy customers is lucrative. We think we can project to get much better than that, probably closer to 25–30%.
Okay. What kind of marketing campaigns are you doing to attract users?
Yeah, so right now we're really focused on Instagram, TikTok, things like that. We're sponsored a traditional radio show just to test it. That's going well. And we're doing a heavy public relations campaign. We're actually hosting a diabetes weekend where we're having speakers. That's happening in November. We're sponsoring events like golf tournaments and things like that. So there's lots of different ways to attract those two demographics. As I mentioned, the type 1 is generally the younger demographic, so that would be more social media type of strategies, and type 2 would be more traditional, like the radio commercials or even hosting and running our own weekly radio program that would be syndicated across the United States, a diabetes show that would essentially serve as our own commercial.
Will you be making more revenue from ads or e-commerce?
Yeah, so we think that it'll be more or less equal. The ads is something that, because we're a hyper segmented platform, we think we can charge a premium for that. For example, you probably saw, or people heard or saw, Dexcon commercials on radio or TV, where it's presented to the mainstream viewer or listener. We would arguably, where arguably 10% of the people would be relevant to diabetes at all, where 100% of our market would be, or 100% of our user base would be. Therefore, 10,000 of our users is worth 100,000 listeners on a radio program, for example. So we think we can charge a significant premium on online advertising. And as I mentioned, we're looking to get approximately a 20% gross margin on pharmaceutical supplies, and the similar type of gross margin on telehealth. But because of our scale across North America, and because of the size of the diabetic market, that revenue should be significant.
Okay, I have a few more questions, but it's all related to the financing. So maybe I'll just group them and ask you one final question. It's basically, the questions are related to what's the pre-money, post-money valuation? How much of equity are you giving up for the 1 million? I think they want to know the valuation. Yeah.
So on the going public valuation, it hasn't been set yet, but we're aiming for a range between 30 and 45 million. And in the pre-public valuation, we would be aiming at a third of that. So looking to raise about $500,000 to $1 million at a third of the valuation that we go public with, which would be 30 to 45 million.
Okay. So for listeners, if you have not seen our report, we have come up with our own independent evaluation on TDA. If you have not seen our report, I strongly encourage you to check out. It can be seen or can be downloaded from our platform, researchfrc.com. I don't see any more questions, Sean. Do you have anything, any final comments so we can wrap it up?
No, I would just say that I think this is a very necessary product. I think that once we have, get the word out, either public relations or marketing, I think that the diabetic community will see that this is a unique platform that is all-encompassing on how to manage the challenges of diabetes. And so I think this is a really special kind of company. The sky's the limit. Diabetic companies are very highly valued as it is. I mentioned Livongo at 15 billion, and I don't think there's much difference between what we can accomplish and what Livongo's accomplished. So I think that we could aim for that type of really blue sky type of valuation.
Great. Thank you so much, John, for sharing with us your vision and your growth plans for TDA. And thank you everyone else on the call for taking time today. A recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel shortly. Please ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also sign up to a member of our platform, researchfrc.com. You'll get alerts when we publish new reports. And of course, you'll be able to see our list of top picks. Thanks again and wish you all the best and stay safe.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Sid.